I don't think we can miss AOC's meltdown over this. I mean, AOC's been front and center on calling for basically censoring political candidates she doesn't agree with.
Deplatforming works.
You know, you said earlier that you will not comment on the platforming of such atrocious disinformation, but I would. I think it was a profoundly irresponsible decision. I don't think that I would be doing my job if I did not say that. And what we saw tonight was a series of extremely irresponsible decisions that put a sexual abuse victim at risk, that put that person at risk in front of a national audience, and I could not have disagreed with it more. It was shameful.
How does she always makes everything about putting someone at risk or violence if anyone says anything that doesn't agree with her agenda? Everyone, everyone's out to kill. Like, she's always about to get killed.
Yeah, like when Jimmy Dore was doing Force the Vote, she called Jimmy's criticism of her violence. And then when on January 6th, she told a story about being like in an office and afraid, and there was a banging on the door, someone saying, "Where is she?" And it turned out it was an officer trying to protect the members of Congress, but yet somehow that was turned into a threat to her life somehow.
Yeah.
And by the way, look, by this standard, so like Juanita Broaddrick has accused Bill Clinton of rape. So if CNN platforms Bill Clinton, is AOC going to say that CNN endangered Juanita Broaddrick? I mean, it's just, like, people have to have some consistency.
I mean, Biden has been accused. He's been accused.
He's been accused.
So
yeah, he has been accused. Yeah.
Is that abusing a woman if Biden gets platformed? Yeah. But basically, this is about AOC versus democracy. I mean, she's a huge proponent of censorship. She goes after her critics in Nixonian fashion. The cops were called on someone who criticized her. We wrote about it at the Grayzone, who was a Mint Press staffer who was visited by cops who had been summoned by the Capitol Police for some criticism he made on Twitter. Then we had her summoning her followers to report people who criticized her deceptions about January 6th, to report them to Twitter censors so that they would all have their accounts removed. She sent out a mass email asking them to do that, then accusing peace protesters who protested a military recruitment fair that she co-sponsored recently. See our video on our YouTube channel about that. She accused them of being outside agitators who were putting her at risk and threatening violence as usual. But she believes that the frontrunner of one of the two major political parties is not entitled to be heard and has to basically be frozen out because he has unauthorized views that she calls disinformation. And that, to me, is anti-democratic. She's the one who should be ashamed. I mean, you can be against Trump all you want, but you're going to have to beat him in an election unless he's disqualified in some other way. And I know they're working on that. And so I wanted to turn to Anderson Cooper's meltdown, which was basically Anderson Cooper giving the company line. He was brought out by CNN to defend the town hall against this deluge of complaints from their viewers who don't want to see that man, and he can't even refer to Trump by his name.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters.
Who attempted to destroy our democracy. That's like actually in his script.
To answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe.
I think you're disturbed that he referred to a cop as a thug, but are you allowed to call a cop a thug if they happen to be black? Like, he's referring to the person who shot Ashley Babbitt. So,
by black men, and called Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who's.
Wait, she was kind of nasty. I mean, maybe calling her nasty is the wrong move, but she was behaving kind of in a nasty way.
Stands up to him.
He calls any woman who stands up to him nasty.
It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his...
Wait, a lot of what he said was just funny. Like, I know so many people who hate Trump who were watching that town hall and couldn't help laughing. It was hilarious. So,
and are we going to get Anderson apologizing for his network spreading Blue Anon conspiracy theories that the president was a Russian agent and that Russia was controlling him with blackmail, and apologizing for the fact that a lot of Americans bought into that conspiracy theory? Is there going to be a sermon about that from Anderson Cooper?
Conspiracy theory is used like the word democracy. It means anything that interferes with the objectives of the establishment. Democracy is the established order. That's the way they understand democracy. Yeah. We are conspiracy theorists, according to the New Republic, because we hold unauthorized views and we don't trust the system. That's pretty much it.
And by the way, this reminds me, it just got reported, going back to Ukraine for a second, it just got reported in the New York Times that, what's his name? Andrei Beletsky, the Ukrainian fascist who talked about, he co-founded the Azov Battalion. He talked about leading a campaign to rid Ukraine of the Muscovite Semites or something like that, and rid Ukraine of Jews. It recently got reported in the Times that he is commanding the Azov Battalion right now in the field. And it was like the official line before was that he was out. Like, Azov has changed. Beletsky is no longer involved. Well, he's actually commanding their forces in the field right now in Bakhmut, I believe. And so is Anderson Cooper going to apologize for every single day whitewashing neo-Nazis inside of Ukraine? Are we going to get that apology? As he claims to care about white supremacy? Yeah,
Beletsky was commanding the National Corps for years before he reappeared in the field with Azov. And the National Corps basically was divided by Azov through essentially a cubicle divider in the same office. So it was always a joke. But back to Anderson Cooper, he then has to defend having the town hall.
Appears he's sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
Well, he's right. It's funny the way he's talking. It's like he's talking in a closed room to Blue Anon people, Blue Anon mindset, to people who hold the Blue Anon mindset. And he's talking to them about Trump supporters who he knows are not watching CNN, which really shows what CNN is and how it regards its audience. It's not actually a national news organization. It is a centrist establishment news organization designed to speak only to members of that minority subset of the United States and its voting population. And he's right. You cannot have a democracy where one candidate is just the major candidate of one party is just completely frozen out. But that's what they want to do. And just let me finish this point. It's an extension of what the Democratic Party did to Tulsi Gabbard by freezing her out of debates and what they did to Ralph Nader in 2000 by preventing him from debating through the presidential debate commission. And it's what they're seeking to do to RFK Jr.
What's funny though to me is, I mean, yeah, he's making an obvious point, but he feels a need to apologize profusely while making it. It reminded me of the scene from Spinal Tap where, you know, like there's some event, like some book signing event or something like that, or a record signing event, nobody shows up. And so the manager, Spinal Tap's manager, is like turning around and saying, kick me, kick me, kick me, you know? And that's what I felt like Anderson Cooper was doing. He's saying, come on, kick me, kick me, kick me. You know, I'm sorry that we subjected you to seeing the former president speak.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like he has holds this power over people who are still deranged over him, and they're not able to handle his return. And they're trying to seek any mechanism possible, any lawfare campaign possible just to disappear him. And Anderson Cooper cannot even name him. So prepare for 1.5 more years of complete establishment meltdown over Donald Trump's existence. And if anything, that town hall and the freak out made it me think this next 1.5 years or so. And if Trump gets elected somehow, I mean, then it would be what, 5.5 years at least. It's going to be hilarious and also extremely gut wrenching at the same time.
Yeah.
And we'll be right here mocking the hell out of our media, because what else is there to do?